What's up? It's your boy Swarsis Bailey, aka Kingwood, aka Gator. We're back with another video, our annual fitness update. Or we'll see if it's annual. But yeah, it's end of the year. We had a year of ups, downs, left, rights. But we're back. I'm gonna talk to you about what's going on this past year or so, some injuries, some future plans for my fitness journey. Let's just jump into it with, right? So over the last month-ish, really it's been longer than that, but I'm just going to talk like the most recent month, right? I've been dealing with, 8 injuries? 8 injuries, whether they're new, chronic, or whatever, that have been affecting me or my workouts to some degree, right? Some a lot, some not so much, but we're gonna run down the list from top to bottom. I'll tell you how it happened, if I can remember, or if I know a pinpoint time, what effect it had on me, and what we're gonna try to do to get over it. So I got a list on the laptop, that's what I'm looking at. The first one, torn right labrum in my shoulder. That happened years ago, probably from wrestling in high school, honestly. But that is not too bad, but I feel it when I go down in my bench, because I arch my back and then I come down all the way to my chest. So I feel a little slight pull, but that's like a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. So not too bad, but it's definitely noticeable. Something that I'm cognizant of, and I try to warm up my rotator cuffs and my shoulders before I do any like upper body pushing movement. And then going down to the right elbow, I got tennis elbow. Right through here, it's been a pain in my ass for probably 3 months now. It started when I was doing dips. I got super deep into my dips on the bar, and I felt like the tendon was kind of rubbing over the joint. So I stopped that a little bit, but then I went into fat grip reverse curls, and yeah, the strain on the forearms just threw it over the top. So it's getting better, but for a month or two, I could barely pick up my water bottle like this without pain. So now, no pain here. The bigger the top or whatever I'm grabbing is, it hurts a little bit more, but we're getting better. So we'll try to work through that. Do tricep pull downs instead of dips, or bench dips, or don't go as deep as I was previously. And then next, sprained left wrist. Excuse me. So the left wrist I sprained October, November time frame. When I was playing flag football. Before I was playing intramural flag football at USF. And before the season started, we were playing, went up for an interception, fell down on my wrist, and sprained it a little bit there. But I didn't think it was a big deal, right? I thought I just jammed my wrist, so I tried to shake it out. I tried to pull it out. That probably made it worse, honestly. So if you're spraining your wrist, go get medical attention. Don't try to work on it yourself unless you want to hurt for a year or so. So yeah, that happened. I think I just made it worse over the end of last year. Didn't get it checked out. Was still benching. Was still doing all types of stuff. With my wrist hurting, I just wrap it up in wrist wraps. So that's also getting better. So now it hurts when I flex it, right? So say I'm trying to pick up a sandbag, for example, which is what I did last week. try to pick up a sandbag, so I have to flex my wrist, and that still hurts. I'd say probably 5, 6 out of 10. Going extension doesn't hurt as much anymore, so we just gotta work on building back that flexion strength for the left wrist. So just being cognizant of that, trying to keep my wrist straight when I'm doing anything heavy pushing, and then eventually we'll get back to it. And then going to the back now. This is the heavy stuff. So I have herniated disc in my lumbar region or my lower back, which it's probably been years, 5 years at least, that I've been dealing with that. And that just comes from back when I first started lifting, improper form, ego lifting, trying to go too heavy, right? Doing what I saw other people in the gym that had been there for a while doing. So I was doing that, and just over time, I hurt myself. And then on top of that, once I got more knowledge, a proper form, I was going super heavy, which if you go heavy, even with good form, when you're already hurt, it's not gonna be the best on your body. So that's what happened there. And that hurts. Well, I'll talk about after the second thing, because they're two in conjunction. So went to the doctor, got MRIs and x-rays, and it turns out I have what they call congenitally shortened pedicles, which is so your spinal canal, right? They have little ridges, or the sides are shorter, so it makes the spinal canal smaller to where your spinal cord runs through and all that. So that's smaller. So that in conjunction with the herniated disc puts a lot of extra pressure on the muscles and the spine of my lower back. So bending over hurts, right? Deadlifting, any hinging motion, so deadlifts, squat, kettlebell swings, stuff like that. All that hurts after a while if I go too heavy or if I do too many reps, right? So I fatigue super fast. Even bending over, put Bash's food in his bowl. My dog, that'll hurt a little bit, right? I can definitely feel my back muscles fatiguing. So trying to navigate my way through that, right? Hey, real quick, I forgot to mention this in the past. So for my back issues, right? My herniated disc, it does better with flexion of the spine, right? Arching back, that type of thing. But the shortened pedicles, the stenosis does better with extension. So bending over. And that is where the conundrum lies for me, right? Is if I do one, it'll hurt the other. So that's why it's super important for me, at least, is to stay as neutral as possible, because if I flex, I'm gonna hurt the stenosis or irritate it. If I extend, bend over, I'm gonna irritate the herniation. So I gotta walk a thin line. But back to the original video. Try to strengthen my erectors and my QLs, muscles around the spine, to get those stronger and more used to working, strengthen my glutes so my glutes can take over some of the force on my hips, right? And hopefully that'll help. I went through physical therapy. They did water physical therapy, right? To take the load, the gravity load off my back, and I wouldn't say that helped too much. I feel pretty much the same as I did before I went in. So that's that. Unfortunately, it's probably something we'll have to live with unless I want to get surgery to like fuse my spine, which is not something I want to do personally, because I don't want to lose that range of motion. I have pretty good range of motion, right? It just hurts like a bitch, but Personally, that's not something I want to do right now since I'm only 29, right? I'm super young. People say I'm too young to have back problems, but here we are. So we're going to work through it. We'll try to do the best we can. And surprisingly, right? So if I deadlift heavy with lower reps, like I maxed out, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And yeah, my back was sore, but my spine didn't hurt, right? It didn't hurt like it did like when I was in pain or did something to irritate it, right? So the deadlift, going for a max, not saying I'm a max out every time, but going for relatively heavy and lighter weights is something that I think will help me. So not a recommendation for everybody, right? You just got to talk to your doctor, figure out what works for you. So hopefully I'll have some feedback later when I do that for a while, the deadlifting. So, and then next, what we got next? So left hip flexor strain. This is undiagnosed. I never went to the doctor, or just from my research and my already knowledge of anatomy and strength and conditioning and whatnot. I strained my hip flexor again last October. After it was before Squattober, but Squattober just didn't do it any favors. I was already injured before. So yeah, strained my hip flexor last year, and I could like barely walk for a while. But I rested, and then we had flag football. So I was running, which didn't help. It didn't make it worse, but it definitely wasn't long enough rest to be 100%. So I've been dealing with that since last October, and then I went to the doctor to get MRIs, X-rays again, right? Over the summer, and they like separated my hip. They put some kind of air, I don't know what they did, but it like separated my hip, and I felt like I don't know, but I was limping all weird, and they didn't find any structural damage. So that's why I say it's a strain in the hip flexor. There are no structural bone damage, no structural ligament tendon damage like that. So, but yeah, and then because I was compensating, because my left hip hurt so much, I was all on the right side. Now my right hip hurts every once in a while, right? So they'll kind of go back and forth on which one hurts during the day. Luckily, I think we're almost back to 100%. I just need to work on my mobility in the hips. My whole body really, but especially in the hips, and I think we'll be pain-free in a few months. Then after that, we have my torn right meniscus in my knee, and that happened senior year in high school from wrestling. But I think it's either, whether it's because of all my other injuries and the compensation putting extra pressure on the knee, or more deterioration or arthritis. I haven't been to the doctor, so I don't know what it is. That pain is coming back now slightly. I'd say that's probably about 3 or 4 out of 10. So something I notice, especially when I'm in a deep squat, or if I sit in a like squatted position for a while, it'll get irritated. So that's something I gotta get checked out too, whether or not I'm gonna need surgeries. We'll see. And then last but not least, we got like a left foot plantar fasciitis, I think. Again, not diagnosed, just based on my research and symptoms, that's what it feels like. Because I get this really bad cramp, especially at night when I'm laying in bed, on the arch of my foot. And I'm like kind of flat-footed anyway. I have small arches, so that could be something that I need checked out. But again, yeah, it'll cramp at night, and then I'll wake up in the morning in a decent amount of pain. But luckily, it doesn't affect any of my workouts. Just like that nighttime, morning, we're dealing with that. So yeah, and that's all my injuries, right? So we'll recap: torn right labrum, right tennis elbow, sprained left wrist, herniated lumbar disc, congenitally shortened pedicles, left hip flexor strain with right hip flexor tightness, tenderness, torn right meniscus, and left foot plantar fasciitis symptoms. So we got 8 injuries that I felt for the last month, if not longer. So moral of the story, kids, is right form. You don't have to lift heavy every time. Make sure you're asking for help or critiquing your form through video. Make sure you get somebody that knows what they're doing to help you out and progress slowly and intelligently, right? Slow progression is better than no progression or regression. So that's my fitness update for y'all. We'll catch y'all next time. Thank you for watching. Peace.